Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that the schools changed that they need to go back to some general education.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you take any civics anymore, whether they teach government in the school anymore.
They do. They still do. I mean, it's more test based. I mean, school today now is kind of like there's not a lot of real world applications to it anymore. And it's like we have this thing called student success that's supposed to be getting us ready for the real world in college. And all it is pretty much a bunch of surveys so the school can get funding.
I'll see they've lost that. When I went into school, they taught us about government. They taught us how the government worked,
Yeah.
why we come out and vote, what we can do, what the government does for us, and what we should do for the government. And everybody spouts about the Constitution and their constitutional rights. But if you ask a high school senior, did he read the Constitution? I don't think you'd get many people that said yes. But
Yeah.
yet, out on the sidewalk, they're all spouting off about the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
What's my rights? I have my rights. My rights is my rights, even though they infringe on your rights.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to watch when you do things about rights. Everybody has rights,
Yeah.
not just one group of people or one people that think some way. Everybody has a right.
Mm-hmm.
And when you want to give some people certain rights that infringes on other people's rights, then that's not right. It's not right.
Do you think that's where government has changed today?
I think they've overstepped. I think they've overstepped in the rights business.
Because this is actually a good topic to switch to because we could say what was the presidents and the government like when you were first starting out to vote and when you were in the military because you were a union man, you were a Democrat for a while, weren't you?
I was a Democrat up until I turned 75.
Wow, so pretty much a lifelong Democrat.
Lifelong Democrat until I started watching C-SPAN and seeing how government works today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just amazed that the wasted time. I think everybody needs to watch C-SPAN because you can see how the government wastes so much time and they spend so much time talking where they could be doing something.
Yeah.
They debate things, they study things. There are so many studies. If you would look years ago in Youngstown, we had a congressman, and he promised us a Lake Erie to the Ohio River Canal would run through the Youngstown area, and that would be a boon to the Youngstown steel mills and manufacturing in Youngstown. It would give us easy access to the ore that came down from Minnesota and up on the Great Lakes. Well, every year when it come up time for election, I'm working on that canal. Well, he got in and got reelected so many times that he finally got to be the chairman of the Appropriations Committee.
Yeah.
Now, that's supposed to be a very, very prestigious job.
Mm-hmm.
He's the boss. He hands out the appropriations. Well, he was so old at the time, and I always said he was so old and feeble by then that he couldn't get his hand in the pork barrel to get us the canal. And consequently, the Lake Erie to the Ohio River Canal was never built. It was stopped by the railroads. And he just could not push it through Congress. It would have been a beautiful thing. They had it all mapped out. They did studies after studies. They were going to put lakes here and lakes there and recreational facilities. It was going to be a grand thing.
So would Ohio be a northeastern Ohio, to say the least, a completely different aspect than what it is today?
Yes,
Would this still? Do you
it would
think
be a vibrant. It would be vibrant.
there wouldn't be as much recession as there is in Youngstown, even in the Akron Canton area?
No, no, no. The this area is really they talked about the northeastern Ohio years ago. They had a thing in the paper about a megalopolis, a great big city in northeastern Ohio. All our communities would be all joined together,
Yeah.
and the hub was around Youngstown, the transportation hub.
Mm-hmm.
The railroads, the highways, everything. We were in the center
Yeah.
of all this. And there was another study that was put on the shelf, and it's gathering dust, and it's cost us probably millions of dollars to do.
Do you think they're not doing these things because they don't have the money, or they're getting money not to do it?
That's a hard one. I think they get money to do studies.
Yeah.
And
Because everything looks better on paper. Hypothetically, anything is perfect.
well, if you put it on paper, then you can roll it up and stick it in a cubbyhole.
Yeah.
And even if you look at some of the things here in Canton, Ohio, they've done studies after studies after studies, and nobody acts on them after the study is completed.
Yeah.
Today in the paper, there's an article I haven't read yet about Route 30. Well, they've studied Route 30 for about 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
It's one of the most dangerous highways
Oh, yeah.
in this area, and a new freeway would be really good. But I think there was a quote by Ben Franklin, and he said, "If you don't want to do something, form a committee, and it will never get done." Because you'll have people in there
Yeah.
not agreeing. So I kind of look at that when I see, well, we're going to form this committee and we're going to study's another great thing. We're going to look at this, we're going to look at that. Well, you know, this country wasn't built on studies.
Built on action.
It was built on action. It was built by people that went out and did stuff. And if you just looked at the history of the Western Reserve, if you could look at the history of Mahoning Valley, Mahoning and Shenango Valley, and how we colonized that, and how business started. Years ago, WKBN put on a series, a dramatization of, they called it the Valley Tales. Tales of the Mahoning and Shenango Valley, and we put it on a little tape, and it played at different radio stations in our area, and it was produced at WKBN.
Yeah.
And it was a dramatization,
Yeah.
and one of the teachers at Wilson High School wrote the programs, the
Mm-hmm.
history. He was a history teacher, and they were very, very informative about this. And I always wondered whatever happened to all those tapes that we made at WKBN.
Yeah.
I was hoping that they would be at, somebody would take the tapes and put them on CDs,
Yeah.
because it was,
I mean-
they were really good history.
Even CDs now are becoming obsolete.
So,
Everything's virtual.
yeah. But that's, you know, those are the things that goes on.
Yeah. I mean, do you like the advancement in technology? Because I know you're a little, yeah, you got a little nerd inside of you.
Oh,
Always
yeah.
like tinkering.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know today if my dad was great at that. I was lucky. He subscribed to Popular Mechanics, Popular Science,
Mm-hmm.
and in those magazines they would have stuff like what we're seeing today, drones and helicopters. We didn't have helicopters when I was young.
Yeah.
You were lucky to have an airplane.
Yeah.
Airplanes were the big thing when my dad was a kid. And cars,
Yeah.
the things that we see today and what our cars are doing and what they're going to do in the future is going to be all together. We're going into the Jetson age now.
Yeah. And are you excited about that?
Yeah. I like to move ahead, and I like to do things. I embrace the computer and things like that. It was great. It was good.
Yeah.
Anything that can advance your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Some things I don't know. I know when I was in school, we didn't have the adding machines.
Oh, the calculators?
No calculators. We had slide rules, and you had to know how to use a slide rule, and things like that. It was a lot. You had to put more into it.
Yeah.
You had tables. You had books.
I mean, if I showed you the calculator I use today, it can do derivatives for me.
Yeah.
Like, this calculator is so smart, you could put games in it.
I know. Yeah.
It's insane.
It is. But have we taken away our ability to think?
I think so.
We give up every advance that we have. We give up training our brain.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, yes, it's a novelty, it's a convenience, but we're also withholding our own ability.
and are we now training our kids coming up, instead of learning their timetables, learn how to punch in a button on a computer?
Yeah.
You know, we're not teaching them to learn and retain.
Mm-hmm.
My old shop teacher said books were the best thing in the world because you can't remember everything. But if you have a book, you can pull that book off of the shelf and refresh your
Yeah.
memory.
Yeah.
And I always remember that because I always like books.
Yeah, you do.
I
You're
know.
always reading
I
something.
like books.
I mean,
I read. Oh, I love the computer. I like my tablet that I can go online and see a book that I want and say, hey, there it is. I order it and it pops right up on. I don't have to go to the library.
yeah.
I can just sit there and within a couple of minutes it downloads and I have it for 21 days. And if I want it longer, then I can reorder it again.
Yeah.
But it's great. But still, books.
Do you like the feel of a book better?
I like books. I like books because you can mark in them. You can put things in there,
Yeah.
and you can see pictures. Now on the tablets, it's a little small if they have a diagram. It's
Yeah.
hard to read. But no, I like books.
See, and that's like my problem. Like, I like reading books, but the way I've been brought up with school and everything, like, even today, my tests are online. Everything's online, and I hate it. Like, for when I did my placement exam going into Xavier for math, it was online.
Online.
I had to do math on a computer and write everything out on a sheet of paper. And I could only use the calculator they had on the computer. Like, how am I supposed to use a calculator on a computer? And it just makes me so mad. It's like, if I want to do math, I want pencil and paper.
Yeah.
Because Isaac Newton didn't do that. You know, all these guys. The guy who invented calculus, just that blows my mind away, because how he found the exact numbers to do derivatives and integrals and sine and cosine tangent, I have no idea.
Well, you know, if you looked at it,
And that's actually the thing. We don't study math. You know, we don't study the origins of math. We don't read about math. We do math. And I would rather study math
Right.
and know why 2 + 2 = 4. Like, know where that came from. Like, even though it's
well,
basic.
even the theorems, the Pythagoras
Pythagorean.
theorem. You know.